Morning. Sorry I haven't been on for a few days. I've been having my room decorated. This is my spare room, but you can't believe how much one room disrupts your whole house, does it? It's literally everything out. So one by one we're getting the rooms done. So I'm kind of going to be a bit on and off. I've been doing my hair in the corner of one of the spare rooms, just briefly in the mornings. Anyway, this room's finished now, just about. So I just thought I'd come on quickly and talk about products. So I know that's a biggie with a lot of you. I think a lot of people get the airwrap and think then you've got to spend hundreds of pounds on products, which makes your airwrap very expensive. So our advice is always stick with the products you've always used before you start switching around. Don't be fooled into thinking that you've got to start spending hundreds on products, because it isn't always the case. Often less is more, and I find the less weighty products that I put on, the better my hair holds. So just really quickly, I'm not fully silicone free, so if you're going down the silicone route, some of my products won't be any good for you. So, but I always use a tiny bit of frizzies, just a little pump just through the ends. Our water's quite hard around here, and I find it kind of just softens it through those ends, just takes any sort of hardness off it and helps combat a little bit of frizz, but it really is only a small amount. Then at the moment I'm using the Kale Cocktail by Colour Wow. This will help. This will kind of almost be like your heat spray, if you like, so you don't need a heat protector as well. This will help prevent against breakage, help protect your hair. It's beautiful, smells beautiful. There's three sorts, so if you're trying to decide which one to use, if you've got coloured or particularly dry hair, I would go with this one or the coconut one. If you've got very fine hair and you need a little bit of oomph in it but also want to protect it, I'd go for the carb one. The carb one is quite runny, so it's totally different to these two, but it will give your hair quite a lot of volume. Quite a lot of my clients use it in the carb and love it. Then I've got my Dream Coat on. You only actually need to use this about every second or third wash. I use it every time because I love it, but the idea is that you saturate your hair with it every second or third wash. I use it every time, but I don't saturate my hair, so maybe what I might cover one day, I'll cover that I miss one day, I'll cover the next. But if you saturate your hair, you'll get the best results from it. A lot of people use it once, put 5 or 6 sprays on and think, well, it doesn't do any different. You have to plaster your hair, and you have to, with the supernatural one, that one, you have to heat activate it. So that's how you get the beautiful shine through it. And then you could straighten your hair within an inch of its life, but you stepped out in the damp, it will still wave or curl, but it won't frizz. That's the biggest difference with it. The best way I did describe it is if you've got an oily leaf and you drop some water on it, it will just roll off, and that's what this does. This has been my biggest game changer. It almost makes my hair like hair extension hair, almost gives it a different feel to my own hair, which I love. So Dream Coat is my absolute go-to, but again, don't just put 6 or 7 sprays on and think it's not doing anything. Follow the instructions and use it properly. Then I use Raise the Roots. Love this stuff. None of these products you can ever put too much on. If you like a salt spray, like a lot of people use a salt spray, you can sort of use it a bit lower down through these lengths if you need to, but I tend to just use it through those roots. I had already put some on, that's why I've only just done that, but I just wanted to show that you could use it through here. Right, I'm not going to put any mousse or anything on today. Sometimes I use the extra large, but I only use the extra large if I'm going to blow dry or smooth, but probably more so just blow dry. If I'm just using the paddle brush, I wouldn't use any other product, that is it. So I find the less I use on my hair, the better. But a lot of people at this stage now would just go at doing their hair. This is the really important phase for me. So I've just put all my product on. You see I've got that horrible peak. I hate it. And my roots need doing. They're being done on Wednesday, thank God. But this is the important time. So you must make sure you've combed all your hair through. Get rid of any knots. You can see my hair started to dry a little bit through the ends there. So I'll just spray a little bit more Dream Coat on it. Or I'll use my fine mist water spray. But this is where you comb all your products through. It's absolutely essential so that by the time you go in with the airwrap, particularly if you're just going to use the barrels, you need to make sure you've got no knots, and you need to make sure that you've got a really, really smooth start to your hair. So a lot of my clients have got strong kinks in their fringe, and very often they'll say to me, I can never get my fringe how you do. and I'll ask them what they do, and they say they just take their towel off, throw their products on, and then maybe sit and have their breakfast while it dries a bit, then come back to it. But it's absolute key to fight your kinks. So like, I want to fight that horrible kink I've got in the middle. So I'm going to comb it dead flat. So you're already starting to fight the bits you hate. If you've got a double crown, again, do exactly the same. Make sure you cover it up before you even start, so it gives you that good base. So basically my hair now is in the style that I want it to be when I finish my blow dry. So that's an absolute essential tip, which I think a lot of people miss. It's basic, isn't it? It's something that we take for granted as hairdressers, but that would be a really big tip. So you can see through those ends where they're just starting to dry a little bit. So for me, this stage is absolute key to your finished style, because if your hair's too wet, so when I'm putting my makeup on, I have my hair wrapped in a microfiber towel or a towel, so it's already taken a lot of the moisture out of my hair before I start drying it. Then I put my products on, then I usually get dressed. So by the time I come now, which would be pretty much at this stage, my hair's about smack on to start styling, because I've got natural curls. If I leave it too long, then you're just going to be fighting your natural curls. If it's too wet, it won't grab the barrels, particularly if you're trying to use the 20. It just won't grab them because it's too wet. And if you're just going to use the barrels at this stage, I find if I just use, say, the 40mm barrels, you have to get your hair as smooth as possible on the barrels to get that really smooth look. So what you've got to remember is when you're just using the barrels, if you've got product on, you've got nothing to smooth all the cuticles down. So whereas if you use the round brush or the paddle brush, you're smoothing your hair through, so you're getting that lovely sleek look. So if you're just going in with the barrels with mousse on, you could end up with crispy roots, you could end up with your hair feeling crispy and still look wet when you're finished. So if you're finding that, then you're probably better off to smooth it through with the paddle brush first. I think that's what I might do today. I very often just sit here and think, I don't know what to do today. I find my hair's naturally curly, so if I was going to use my natural curls, I would always blow dry the top still on the round brush, because that gives me the bounce and it gives me a nice smooth look. And then I can just use the 30mm barrels maybe just through the ends just to curl those and use my natural curl underneath. That's great. But if you just wanted to do a blow dry all over from this stage just with the barrels, you might find that you don't get this is more for people with natural curls. So if your hair's already started to curl at the roots and you just go in with your barrels, you're going to really struggle to fight that frizz. So you're better off to smooth it through first. I hope that's making sense, because all of these little tips I know really help. What I'm going to do is just flick through with the paddle brush. I'm loving this. This has always been one of my least used brushes. I don't tend to use the one without the spikes. I find it goes too straight with that. So if you want a really straight look, try the one without the knobbles. But I'm loving this because it really smooths it through. And then what I do is just flick through with the 40mm barrels at the end, just to seal it. If your hair's not in the best condition, make sure you've really well conditioned your hair. You're going to be fighting a losing battle with this paddle brush, because obviously if you're used to using GHD straighteners or whichever straighteners you use, even if your hair's absolutely knackered, you can still get a smooth look. But don't forget, this is just a blow dry. You can smooth it, but it is still just a blow dry. So you might still find your hair looks really fluffy after you've used it. If it does, just flick over with the 40mm barrels just to seal it, and then you can smooth it back through. You don't necessarily have to curl it. I'll show you at the end when I do it, but I won't talk to you while I'm videoing, so I'll just click off and I'll do a video with me blow drying it, and then I'll chat about it at the end. Okay. Okay, so that's quite smooth now, by no means finished. So basically, if you've got the sort of hair that frizzes at the roots, this would be a great way for you to start your curls. So what I'll do, I'll show you a mixture. So I'll use, let's have a look. So let's start with a 40. So if I wanted to just keep quite a smooth look, but make sure these roots are fully dry, I would just use a 40 and just pull it away at the roots like that to give me some volume. So I don't necessarily want to achieve much curl, but I want to make sure those roots are fully dry. And then I would just literally just flick them round just to seal it. It's not going to give you a tight curl because the barrel's quite big. So I just want to show you. So it just gives you that little bit more movement in it, but it will just make sure it's fully dry. You want to get a bit of a flick through here. Just kind of work with it. Almost just let the barrel do the work for you. But it makes quite a difference because you've already got a smooth blow dry on it. You can see the difference between that side. It's just giving it that little bit more oomph, and it's just going to seal the ends. So if you wanted to stay straight, you just hold your barrel underneath and just literally just seal those ends. So if your hair's not in the best of condition, so you're not curling it, you're just giving it a little bit more direction. I'm using high speed, medium heat always. I never use anything different. I'm just flipping through with it really, just to make sure it's fully dry and just make sure I've got a little bit of lift in it. You can feel it's still slightly damp through this crown area. You just want to make sure it's absolutely dry, otherwise your frizz will just come back through. You're not defeating the object by smoothing it, because this will just brush through beautifully and I'll just get quite a nice bouncy smooth blow dry. I never like my hair dead straight, it just doesn't suit me. So see, that's already just starting to look just a bit more bouncy than that side. So literally just could keep going over that as much as you want, and then you just do the same on the other side. If you wanted a tighter curl, you could just pop your long 30 on, just give it a much tighter curl. Pop your cool shot on if you want to really hold it. Oops. Turn the wrong button off. There you go, there's your tighter curl. Just bear with me just 1 minute. I've popped the 40 back on. I pressed the wrong button. I ejected it instead. I've just popped the 40 back on just to show you how you can just finish off your smooth blow dry. But you get the idea anyway. That was like a Beatles About moment, that, wasn't it? There you go. So that's as much as I'd do. But that's just kind of sealed the end. So I've still got a really nice sort of bouncy blow dry, but I've got the hair nice and sleek. So if you're struggling to get your frizz out of your roots. That's probably the best thing to do. But I love that kind of looks. It kind of looks like it's done, but it's not. And that will just settle into a nice smooth look. I'll add a photo on. Sorry about the popping off. Don't press the wrong button. And I'll put some photos on of all my products.